What is up? Coach Emma here, and welcome back to the Fit Habit Life podcast, where we cut through the noise, talk real health and fitness, sustainable fat loss, and habits that actually work. And today on the podcast, I will be talking about how to fix bloating and how to. So this is it's a more abstract discussion because it's very individualized, right? So everybody's digestive system is different, but what I'm going to talk about today is very actionable. And these things are the foundation. So in order to have a healthy digestive system, you need these things in place. So anyway, before I get started, I just wanted to thank you guys for listening. It means a lot that you decide to spend time with me every week, listening to me talk about various health and fitness topics. It's kind of cool, and I'm glad that you keep listening. So, if this podcast has helped you at all, it would really help me if you could rate the show, subscribe, and or share it with people in your life who you think it could help. Because that helps me help more people and helps me debunk a lot of the crap out there so people can get the right information. So, anyway, thank you for listening. Now, let's talk about your digestive system. So, shockingly enough, well, not really. If you've been listening to me, everything is super interconnected. And so, my biggest gripe with the traditional medical system is they put everything in silos. So there's a GI doctor, there's a heart doctor, there's a skin doctor, it's a dermatologist. There's a, I don't know. There's all sorts of different doctors that just focus on one tiny part of the body. But unfortunately, what that does is, as I said, it puts everything in silos, but we have one body and everything is interconnected. So everything impacts each other. And I've talked a lot about, in past episodes with my personal story. Actually, I don't know if I've talked about my personal story that much. And I'll probably have to do that on another one soon because I have more listeners from when I started. And I feel like I'm better at talking now. I don't know. It seems like it comes a little bit easier to me, and I feel like I'm better at storytelling and things. So hopefully it'll be more entertaining this time. But everything's super interconnected. And if you're wondering like, oh, what's a good example of that? Listen to What's Wrong with Joe. I forgot what episode it was. I think it's like in the 30s or 20s. And Joe is my husband. So it kind of talks about so for context, he had digestive issues, but we didn't know they were actually digestive issues because they weren't manifesting in the quote unquote normal digestive symptoms. Like my digestive symptoms were always bloating, gas, reflux. Like it's like, okay, that definitely has to do with your digestive system. Like there's something going on there. Whereas he didn't have any of those. Obviously if we went out to eat and he had something that was super high in fat or like really out of the norm, like fried or whatever, he'd have digestive issues. But generally speaking, on a day-to-day basis, he didn't have any issues. But my point with this is that everything is so interconnected that even if you, quote unquote, think your gut is fine, you might be actually having gut issues, which are causing other symptoms. And so anyway, listen to What's Wrong with Joe if you want to hear more. So it's cool, but it can be frustrating because that means every part of your life and body affects each other. And so the things I'm going to talk about today are really important just in general for establishing and having a healthy foundation of health. And these things play a huge role in optimal digestive function. And if you're not doing these things, you probably are having digestive issues, probably have low energy, probably have some hormone dysfunction. So even if you don't have digestive issues or bloating, listen up, because these things will be very beneficial if you start implementing them. So number 1, circadian hygiene. Your body, your entire body runs on a clock. And it's pretty common, at least even not as a health and fitness coach, I had heard about my circadian rhythm. So, and that's basically the clock your body runs on. And so circadian hygiene is having a healthy circadian rhythm that aligns with our biology. So, in theory, up when the sun's up, asleep when the sun is down, eating when the sun is up, and not eating when the sun is down. Having a regular sleep schedule. So most days you're going to bed and waking up at the same time. Eating meals on a particular schedule so that your body is on this nice routine rhythm. So it knows when you're going to eat. It knows when it has time to digest. And it knows when it has time to rest. And it's interesting, but since I had started so in college, I slept not at all. Like I didn't sleep. I thought sleep was for the weak. It was so stupid because I was a D1 athlete. So in theory, I should be sleeping probably 9 hours a night because I'm working out 4 hours a day. I'm in school, stressors, life, early 20s, late teens. Everybody's out to get you. You got all these stupid crap you're worrying about. Anyway, I was sleeping probably 4 to 5 hours a night my first 2 years of college. And even the summer going into junior year. And then I talked to one of my teammates who was 2 years younger than me. And she's like, yeah, sleep is so important. Like you really need to get more sleep. And I was like, I'm going to try that. And so anyway, since then I've had a structured routine with sleep, which is kind of crazy. I mean, that's been probably the same sleep schedule for 8 years, honestly. Yeah, about 8 years. I'm almost 28. I'm old. But anyway, so I'd go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time every day. And I felt energized and ready to take on the day because my body is like, this is when we're awake. Let's do the thing. And when we're asleep, we sleep hard because we know we're going to be asleep. So I went through all the phases of sleep and I'd wake up ready to take on the day. And everything else was also on a schedule. So I would eat at the same times every day. And then I'd go to the bathroom at the same times every day. At the same time every day. And all of those things, all those signals like eating schedule, sleep schedule, morning sun exposure, daily movement, morning movement, that tells your body when to do things. And if your body knows like at this time I'm eating something, then everything else kind of lines up. And I'm not a very sciencey person. I'm sciencey in that, ooh, this thing is cool and it does this, but I don't understand the mechanisms. And this is something I'm working on, but I can tell you what to do. But sometimes the little intricacies aren't quite there. But anyway, as I was saying, your gut has an internal clock. So your gut has an internal clock. So if you're eating at the same times every day and you're going to sleep and waking up at the same times every day, all of those regulate your body's biological clock. You should have a regular daily bowel movement. And oftentimes what I've noticed, people who have bloating, either they're eating foods that are not agreeing with them, or they don't have a very regular routine. And so their body doesn't know when to take a dump and doesn't know when to eat or digest. And so the more of a structure and routine you have, the better your sleep will be, the better your digestion will be, and the better your energy levels will be. And so everything else will kind of line up. So all of my clients, we work on this. We have some type of structure and routine. And I will say it's so important. Like, and I have some clients that come to me and they're so overwhelmed because like, I don't have time to do anything. And it's like, no, because you have so many things to do that are on your brain all the time, but you don't have them written down and in a schedule. That's why you feel like that. Once you write things down and you start to have a structure and a schedule and a routine, then you won't feel like that anymore, and that overwhelm will be gone. So yeah, and sleep is crucial. I have a whole episode on sleep. So go back to that one if you want to know how to optimize your sleep. And then that leads into the next one that is crucial for overall digestive health: stress management. Stress impacts every aspect of your health. And honestly, I think stress is the root cause of most people's health problems. So, excuse me. Stress, I think, is a root cause of disease. I think stress impacts your hormones. It impacts your digestion. It impacts your sleep quality, your recoverability, your ability to train, your ability to build muscle, burn body fat, your energy levels, your mood. It really is like, if you're overly stressed, every other part of your life is going to be negatively impacted. And the same goes with your digestive system. Because, so, if you've ever heard of your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, they're kind of like the two parts of the nervous system. And as I said, I'm not good at remembering terms, so I'm looking up right now which one is which. Okay, so sympathetic is the fight or flight. So that's when you're high stress and you're like, okay, let's get after it, or, let's dip. Like, your nervous system, your body is like on high alert. The parasympathetic nervous system is when your body, that regulates the resting and the digesting state. So a lot of my clients who are very high stress, they tend to have trouble going to the bathroom. And tending to have trouble going to the bathroom because, right, it's like their body's never in the parasympathetic state. It's always in fight or flight mode. It's never in rest and digest. And that can cause bloating. You're backed up. Your body's got stuff it's trying to get out. That causes bloating and digestive issues, digestive discomfort. And I've also had clients where stress actually makes them go to the bathroom more. So, very interesting. Personally, anecdotally, when I was getting married, there was a lot of crazy stuff going on. If you've ever gotten married and you've got, family, there's always stuff. So there was a lot of drama, a lot of things. I was super stressed, like crazy stressed. And I was doing all the things. I stopped having caffeine. I was getting 8 hours of sleep a night. I reduced my training volume. I was eating almost 3,000 calories a day. So I was not underfueling. And man, I could not eat any gluten or dairy, could not go out to eat. I'd have instant bloating, gas, super uncomfortable, a bunch of terrible digestive symptoms. And when I got back from my wedding and honeymoon, I could have all the dairy, all the gluten, any food, and I did not have digestive symptoms because I was no longer stressed. Because all of that stress on my life was gone because the wedding was over. And I don't think people understand how much stress impacts your overall physiological well-being. It's so important. So stress management is crucial, and I work on this with all of my clients. Most of my clients are type A high achievers. I am one. I do not like to sit and relax and unwind and journal, meditate. I don't like to do those things. But those things are super important because they help regulate your nervous system. You need to take breaks. You need to relax. You can't be working 24/7. You're going to run yourself into the ground. And part of running yourself into the ground are symptoms. Your body sends you signals and symptoms that something is off. Some symptoms include digestive symptoms, could include skin issues. I don't know if you've ever gotten a rash when you're really stressed, but I have. That's a red flag, right? There's something going on. Like, it's like, hey, Emma, chill, relax. Other symptoms, poor sleep, not being able to go to sleep even when you're exhausted. Poor recovery, that's a symptom. No or low libido, that's a symptom. That is one that I experience very often. I don't know why, but that's the signal. Like, right away when I get that, it's like, or when I'm too stressed, my body's like, yep, nope, done. And then same with sleep like that as well. And then even like physiological like signs, like not having a menstrual cycle. This is something that I struggled with for years. And I thought it was normal because I was an athlete to not have a menstrual cycle. But that was a red flag. I was overdoing it. I also had terrible digestive issues when I was playing college water polo, partially due to the crazy amount of Brussels sprouts I ate. They're delicious when fried in butter and garlic. But partly because I was just too stressed. I was doing too much, overtraining, underfueling. There was other things at play as well. So anyway, so stress is huge. So stress management is really key. And even just starting with 5 minutes a day of something, whether that be some type of breath work, meditation, going on a walk without your phone, without any distractions, just you, nature, listening to things around. That is one of my favorite ways to de-stress. Because if you're listening to this, I'm a coach and my business is ran online. So if I have my phone with me, I'm always checking notifications, emails, other things. And that's something I'm actively working on. I also have a coach. So we all struggle with things here. But yeah, so stress management is key. It's really key. And even like having boundaries with your meals, because if you're like working while you're eating, your body's probably not in that rest and digest state. So having, like, hey, this 20 minutes for me right here is to have my lunch. And I'm not going to have my lunch with anything else. I'm just going to sit and I'm going to enjoy my food and I'm not going to work. And that's oftentimes something I have to implement with my clients too. I've noticed, people always have so much to do, so they spend their lunch break working and eating, and they're not taking enough time to chew their food or relax, and so their body is not in a primed state to digest the food that they're consuming. That leads into the next one, eating habits. How you eat your food is very important. So, most people do not chew enough. Ideally, you should be chewing each bite 15 to 20 times. Because the digestive process, it doesn't start once it's down your throat. It actually starts when you start smelling food. When you start smelling food, the food that you're cooking or the food you're heating up in the microwave or whatever, that's when your body's like, that smells good. I'm getting ready to eat. And then when you're chewing it as well, your body is producing enzymes in the mouth that help break down the food. And as it's going down the digestive system, like you part of the processing of the food is in the mouth. So the chewing is really important. What I've noticed too is clients who drink while eating, they tend to have more bloating and digestive issues. So I recommend chewing your food more, and you probably won't need a beverage to shuttle it down. And the more you chew your food, the longer you take to eat, the better your signal, your food, your body brain signal is, and it'll tell you, hey, you're actually kind of full. And so something too, when you slow down and you take the time to eat properly, it's a lot harder to overeat. So Eat at the table, do not eat distracted, and chew your food more. And then, just in general, oftentimes people who experience bloating, they're not having enough fiber. And so the ideal is about 25 grams a day for women, 35 for men. I like to shoot for about 12 to 15 grams per 1,000 calories you consume. So, and obviously this varies if you're competing in like a muscle building sport and you have to consume copious amounts of food. Having really high levels of fiber is going to make it really difficult to consume that amount of food. So don't recommend getting too high up there if you're like in bodybuilding. But if you're listening to this, you probably aren't, because I don't think anyone who follows me is a bodybuilder. Or anyway, same with athletics. Like if you're an athlete and you have to consume 4,000 calories a day, having 60 plus grams of fiber a day, that can wreak havoc on your performance and your digestive tract. That's a lot of fiber. And by fiber, I don't mean like high fiber tortillas or whatever. I mean like fruits and vegetables. Ideally, you want it from fruits and vegetables. A lot of those high fiber things have other things in there that can cause digestive discomfort. So anyway, so yes, fiber. Fiber is very important. But if you're not eating 25 grams a day, and most people aren't, I think the average American eats about 5 to 7 grams of fiber daily, don't jump up to 25 grams. That can cause bloating and digestive discomfort. You have to allow your body to adapt. So slowly increase that amount of fiber over time. And I have my no bloat guide up because sometimes I go all over the place and I don't take notes and I just kind of forget things. So anyway, hydration. Hydrate. Hydration is so important for your digestive system. Just in general, like people don't drink enough water. Like every time I have a client track their water intake, they're shocked. They're like, I've had some clients that come to me and they're not even drinking a glass of water a day. They're consuming other things like soda or coffee or whatever, but damn, like we need water. Our digestive system needs water. It's really important. So you want ideally about half your body weight in ounces daily. Again, if you're drinking 8 ounces of water a day, don't try to have, so we'll give an example. Okay. Like if you're 150 pounds, ideally you want about 75 ounces of water a day. So again, if you're drinking 8 ounces a day, don't try to have 75 ounces right away. Slowly build up to that number. So usually it's about 10 to 20% increase, give or take. But yeah, don't chug. And then this is the final point I will talk about today. But training is really important when it comes to digestive health. And with the people that come to me, they're like me. They tend to overtrain. So, as I was talking about stress management, right? Training is a stress on the body. It's a hormetic stressor, so it's a good stress. But there is a point of diminishing returns. And in fact, if you're doing too much training and you're not recovering adequately, then you're digging yourself into a deeper hole. And overtraining, oftentimes people who overtrain have severe digestive discomfort because overtraining is a stress, and that stress is giving you physiological symptoms. So if you're training 6-7 days a week, you're overtraining. So what I like to do with my clients is 2 to 4 days a week. 2 to 4 days a week, depending on the client, depending on their overall consistency in the gym. And I've noticed great results with my clients, like really awesome results. Some clients we do, then I do have other clients who struggle with the consistency aspect, like they're high achievers in other aspects of their lives, but when it comes to their fitness routine, they are not. And anyway, so they might do 1 to 2 exercises daily. But as I said, like a lot of my clients, they're training 6-7 days a week, and they come to me and I'm like, we're going to do 4 days a week. And they're like, what the hell? I'm like, I know. But now actually I had a check-in call with one of them yesterday, and he was like, I actually really like my rest days now. Like every Wednesday, I'm like, this is awesome. Because usually people don't train on the weekends. Like some people do, like 6 days. But a lot of the people, they train Monday through Friday. But they're training really intensely. They're doing HIIT, CrossFit, those type of trainings, which is a huge stress on the body if you're not adequately fueling themselves, which usually they aren't because they've been chronically dieting for so long. And so they're overtraining, underfueling, and not adequately recovering, and usually not sleeping enough either. So anyway, all of those things contribute to poor gut health. And so if you're overtraining, try to go to 2 to 4 days a week. If you're doing 2 to 3 days, usually I recommend a full body split. That's just more effective for most people. And then if you miss your day, like in the gym, like let's say you train Mondays and Thursdays, you can always go Friday. Or you just pick up that full body session again on Monday and you didn't miss any muscle groups. But if you're training 4 days a week, I usually do a split, anterior, posterior, or upper, lower split. So it's for my clients specifically, usually they like the weekends off, right? So be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, have a nice rest day on Wednesday, and then have that nice weekend off to go on a hike with friends or spouse or hang out with your kids and whatnot. Anyway, doing that, having more recovery, that will help your digestive system because your body can only handle so much stress. You have like a bucket. Picture your body as a bucket. It can only hold so much water. And so if you're pouring in water, like from life stress is a bottle of water, you're pouring that into the bucket. Then you got underfueling, that's another stressor, overtraining, another stressor, poor sleep, another stressor, anxiety, another stressor, work, another stressor. Anyway, it can only handle so much. So if you're overdoing it in other aspects of your life, you're not recovering adequately, your body's going to give you those physiological symptoms to try to tell you to chill and slow down. So anyway, and there are foods that can cause bloating for some people. And so that is the last point. It's like there are some foods that for some people cause bloating. And some of it is you might have some gut dysbiosis. You might have an overgrowth of bad bacteria. You might have a parasite. You might have leaky gut. So those things can be the root cause of your bloating. But you have to do those first 5 things anyway in order to have a healthy baseline for your digestive system to function optimally. So with my clients, I focus on the basics and the foundation first because oftentimes that'll resolve a lot of symptoms. But if it doesn't, at least we're already at the healthy baseline. And from that point on, when we figure out the gut issue, we order testing, we order labs, then we can address it. We don't have to, focus on doing the gut health protocol while addressing those symptoms. We can just head down, gut protocol, ideally 8 to 12 weeks, depending on the client. Some need longer. But then you'll be good because a lot of the root causes of those gut issues have been resolved. So you won't get it again. And that's what's often missing in the functional doctor's space is they give clients these complex gut protocols, but they don't address why the client had these issues in the first place. They don't coach them through that. They don't support them through that process. They might say, yeah, you need these things. Here you go. Here's your list. Now, here's the supplements you have to pay for to address your root cause gut protocol. And it's like hundreds of dollars of supplements that you take. And then when you're done, it comes back because you never addressed part of the issue. Yeah, you got rid of the overgrowth, but the overgrowth came back because your lifestyle and habits aren't conducive to a healthy gut microbiome. So that's what makes me different. This is why I coach in the way that I do. We address the root cause first. We create that healthy foundation. The fat loss, the gut health, the hormones will be in a better position. And if they aren't, we have that healthy foundation. So you should start to feel better anyway. And then we can dig in and order testing and get to the root cause of your problem, which part of it was lifestyle, which is why I focus on lifestyle first. But anyway, hopefully this has been helpful. If you want a blueprint on what you need to do to improve your overall metabolic health, which includes your hormones, your gut health, and your fat loss efforts, just having a healthier body composition, if you click the link below, there's a free metabolic quiz. You don't have to input any information. It'll give you a score and give you a couple action items. But if you do want, there is a blueprint, a personalized blueprint that'll be generated, and you can input your email in there and get that sent straight to you. And so I just like to try to help people the best way I can. So that's why I created that. So if you've been struggling and you're like, I'm just not really sure what the big rock is, what is the thing, my biggest constraint, what is preventing me from seeing results and seeing these changes, fill that out. It'll give you a lot of insight. And if you enjoy this podcast and it resonated with you, please rate the show, share it. If you have a friend who constantly talks about bloating, send this their way. Help them out. And I'd really appreciate it. So anyway, thank you for listening if you made it this far, and I hope you have a great day. Peace.